Am I recording? I'm recording. This is the content lecture portion of this evening's program. And the main things you're going to learn from this, these are the takeaways. So we already sort of talked about the foundation, the secret to success, persistence, grit, drop by drop, the bucket gets filled. Persistently, patiently, you're bound to succeed. Having focus and dedication, so that's really important. I also think gratitude's a good piece of that. Just taking a moment to appreciate where you are, because there's a lot of places in the world where it's not as good as the way you've got it right now. Like having the opportunity to come and become educated and pursue a path, gain knowledge, get a degree, determine your future. A lot of people are in war zones. A lot of people are in countries where you can't drink the water out of the tap, much less go to In-N-Out Burger. So it's a real rare opportunity to have relative safety, shelter, food, clothing, clean drinking water, and to be able to come to school and educate yourself. And there's a lot of people in the world who would love to have that opportunity, and they don't. And you do, and that's amazing. So take advantage of it. You've already won. It's a golden opportunity. You got the Willy Wonka golden ticket to go to school. And there's a lot of people who didn't get it. They'd love to be in your spot. So make the most of it. The important policies, don't worry about that. But the tech is a tool, and we are at a turning point. So we are at a turning point in the history of humanity, whether you know it or not. And there have been a couple of moments in our history, our evolution as humans, where the way we have lived and done things as humans has shifted. Originally, we were hunters and gatherers, which means that we were like kung fu, and we just roamed the earth looking for adventures. I don't know if you remember that TV show Kung Fu, or ever saw the movie Pulp Fiction. Yeah? Or he's like, I just want to roam the earth like kung fu, looking for adventures. And so we were hunters and gatherers, but then people learned how to farm, and the plow was invented, and so they settled down. They stopped wandering the earth looking for adventures and decided to farm wheat, and people specialized, and communities, little tribes, villages started to arise, and farming could lead to civilizations. And then other big turning points. The first information revolution, the printing press was invented, and within 200 years after the invention of the printing press, which allowed a dissemination of knowledge, because you could print books instead of copying them by hand, which is how they used to do it before the printing press. Within 200 years after the invention of the printing press, we had a flourishing in the arts and sciences. We had the scientific revolution, and we also had the Renaissance. And so that's pretty amazing, because that first information revolution with the printing press led to this flourishing in arts and sciences. And in many ways, we are definitely going through another information revolution, the second information revolution with the internet, where on my phone now, I have the Library of Congress plus Casey Neistat videos, plus, Jackass 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, all accessible from anywhere on my phone, right? So we have so much knowledge and information right in our fingertips. And already we're seeing acceleration in sciences, and we're seeing a flourishing of the arts. And so it's the second information revolution. And it's drastically altering the course of humanity over the last 20 years. Huge, huge shifts. Before this, the period we were in was the Industrial Revolution, which is all about mass production and mass consumption. And, a very linear process where, raw materials enter a factory at one end, and they go through the same applied process, and then they come out the other end, and they're certified for a certain level of quality. This educational system is a reflection of that. You all come in at one entry point, you go through a process, you have the same things applied to you, we certify your quality, you come out the other end, and you have a degree. That's a very linear process, very much manufacturing assembly line, Industrial Revolution kind of concept. Education came out of the Industrial Revolution, British imperialism. They had people all over the world, and they needed to be able to interchange employees at certain locations, just swap them in and out. So they created the education institution, schools, to get people trained well enough so that they could just put them in and out of positions in British empire. And so that's kind of interesting. And the educational system's already shifting. Like it's no longer in programming. It's no longer really matters what your degree is or where you went to school. And I mean, if you're smart and you know how to do stuff, yeah, man, we just need people who know how to kick ass. That's all we need. We don't care where you went to school. If you know how to do that, then we're interested in talking to you. And so you can learn that anywhere, anytime, all kinds of places. YouTube, Greater Commons, other learning platforms, online learning platforms. You could take classes from, some of the best professors of the world, Udacity, or Coursera, right? You could take courses in machine learning from professors at Stanford, all kinds of crazy stuff. So it's pretty amazing. So that's we're at a turning point. And then the last main takeaway is tech is a tool. And that's just like we need to think about how are we using all this technology that we're inventing. And this is something that mankind has been aware of for a long time. As we create these new tools, tools can be used for good and for bad. And so this is reflected in our culture and our mythology, our stories, our literature, our books, our films. And Prometheus is a classic myth of which illustrates this. How many people know the myth of Prometheus? Nobody. So Prometheus stole fire from the gods. He was a god. He stole fire from the gods and he gave it to the humans. Fire is a tool. It's a powerful tool. It can be used for good. It gives us light. It gives us warmth. It allows us to cook our hamburgers. Good. And but it can also be used for bad. It can be an implement of war, right? Nuclear bombs, killing people, burning people up. And so it's a tool. It can be used for good or for bad. Fire, just anecdotally, was so important to humans when they were around, and it was hard for them to get it. So they'd get it and they'd just keep it going, and then they'd have people watch the fire. And if it's your job to watch the fire, I've heard, so it is told sometimes. I'm not sure. This is a general statement. I'm sure it's not always true. If the fire went out, they would kill you. Like it was like, don't let the fire go out. But in the myth of Prometheus, Prometheus stole fire from the gods and gave it to the humans. The other gods thought, humans, that's too powerful of a tool for them. And so they sentenced Prometheus to a lifetime of having his gizzard eaten out by a buzzard or something like that. Maybe it's his liver eaten out by an eagle. I don't remember. But a lifetime of that. And then at night, he would heal, and then the next day, the same thing would happen again. And so that's like this idea that, we get these tools, and are we able to use them? So we see this theme reflected again in Stanley Kubrick's 2001, where at the beginning it's a bunch of monkeys, and the monkeys are like, dun, 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 dun. No, you don't know this movie. And then one monkey realizes, I could use this bone as a tool. It could be a club. I could beat my enemies. I could kill my prey. Oh my God, I'm going to be the most powerful monkey on the planet. Does this remind you of anybody? I'm not going to say any names. And then he takes that, and he's like so ecstatic. The monkey's so ecstatic, he's like, "Rah!" and throws this thing up. He's just like happy that as a monkey, because that's what we are, we're just a bunch of monkeys. As a monkey, he figured out how to use this amazing tool, and that bone goes flying up into the sky, and then it turns into a spaceship. So Stanley Kubrick's saying, here's our evolution in 2 minutes. We went from monkeys, figuring out we could use a bone as a tool, and now we've invented spaceships, right? Just more tools. And so it's this idea of like using tools. Tech is a tool. And the real question for us is, do we use it, or does it use us? Do we use it, or does it use us? Because we could use tools for good or bad. And so a knife's a tool. It could be used for bad. Ha-ha! It could be used for good, right? Thank you, doctor. Right? Like I've been stabbed in the back, literally. I had somebody stab me in the back. I'm so glad he did, because he took out some precancerous skin thing, and really appreciate that doctor. And good, prolonged my life, saved me, because I'm a white guy, I spend too much time in the sun. Right? So a tool could be used for good or for bad. A tool could be used for good, it could be used for bad. Not such a skillful action for society. What is good, what is bad? Always in the eye of the beholder. Right? Like if you then found out that this guy had a daughter dying of cancer, and this was the medical institution that refused service because he didn't have enough money, and he came in to demand service to save his daughter's life, you'd be like, I'm down with that guy, right? Like, I'm all in favor of that guy. Get your daughter saved, man. He doesn't care how much time, but that's not what happened there, probably. Right, so how do we use our tools? We have some pretty awful, powerful tools, nuclear weapons. And we have to think about this because on several occasions the world has been on the brink of ultimate, utter destruction because these tools haven't been used consciously, skillfully, carefully. In 1979, a training tape was mistakenly placed in NORAD's main computer, and it fooled officials for several minutes into thinking that the Soviet Union had launched a massive nuclear attack. Just picture that situation for a minute. For several minutes, officials, the United States government, thought that the Soviet Union had launched a massive nuclear attack. And then they got a call. Like they're all gearing up, the doors are going back on the missile silos, we're DEFCON Red 3, sirens are going, we're going to start counter-striking, those missiles are going to be here in 2.5 minutes, start blowing up cities and killing millions of Americans, and then ring, 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 I need to talk to the President of the United States. What's going on? I need to talk to him. All right, President, we got somebody in NORAD on the line. What's happening? So Bob here left a training tape in the computer, and there's no strike coming. That's a scenario. Wait a minute. Bob left a training tape. Humanity almost died because Bob left a training tape in a computer. And that's not just happened on our side. It's also happened on the Russian side back in the day. This guy saved your life, whether you know it or not. Their computers showed something similar. It was a mistake. And he said, no, we're not going to report it up the chain of command. He was fired, demoted, disgraced, suffered a nervous breakdown, lost his job in the military, and then 20 years later awarded the Medal of Honor, World Peace Savior. Right? Stanislav Petrov saved humanity. The world has achieved brilliance without conscience. Ours is a world of nuclear giants and ethical infants. We know more about war than we know about peace, more about killing than we know about living. If we continue to develop our technology without wisdom and or prudence, our servant technology may prove to be our executioner. Damn straight. General Omar Bradley, 5-star general from World War II. So tech is a tool, and you might think, well, this is all really high level. I'm not going to be dealing with nuclear bombs. If you do, just remember this. When you see missiles coming in, you might be like, hey, it could be an error. Maybe we should just, like, America will die and everybody else will go on. Let's let the human race continue. Or if it's just North Korea. But tech is a tool. You might think this is kind of high level. It doesn't apply to you. But then, right? Hold on. Let me get down there. Right? It does apply to you. Right? Whose life are you taking into your hands when you're texting and driving? And how many of us have done this? Hell, I struggle with it, and I teach it. And it's hard for me to not be like, I'll just dial the number, and then it's on car speakerphone, I go back to driving. Right? It's dumb, and I do it, and I try not to, and it's addictive, and it's hard. And technology is a tool, and I'm not using it well when I'm doing that. I'm putting my life at risk and the lives of others, as are some of you, and we should all try not to do that. LOL, I'm not busy, I'm only driving. I like that one. So technology can be a little addictive. Really, Al Gore? Who's like texting you that you need to check why the president is being sworn in right in front of you? Oh, it's my aunt. Hold on. All right, so we get addicted to our technology. And, can we believe that it's true? Here's a real picture. Here's a Photoshopped picture. I really like the humor in that, though. Hello. How may I help you? And here's the same picture run on the cover of Newsweek and Time. Time decided to make him look a little bit more sinister, darken him up a little bit. And that's not Oprah's body. That's the person's body on the right, but they decided to use it as her body on the TV guide. Maybe Bush did have the book upside down, or maybe that's Photoshopped too. Right? Remember that one moment? This picture is Photoshopped. And these are real, actually. These are real. That's real. That's the gorilla bird. You guys have all seen that. And the lion, dandelion. And these little night. You guys have these running around your attic? They're tough. So, so there's all kinds of ways that we think about technology and how it's impacting us and how much we're being monitored. And how many people have heard of Edward Snowden? Yeah, so Edward Snowden used to be an analyst or contractor for the government, worked for the NSA, National Security Agency, and then he stole all these documents showing how much Americans are being monitored, and and you might say, hey, I don't care, I lead a straight life, it doesn't really matter. But there's been all kinds of incidents in humanity where, other humans decide, hey, we're going to get rid of teachers. In Cambodia at one point, anybody who was an intellectual or wore glasses, because if you wore glasses, that probably meant you did too much reading, they killed you. In Cambodia under the Pol Pot regime, I think in the 70s. Was it the 70s? Yeah, like massive slaughter. They wanted to go back to an agricultural economy, and so total destruction. And, at one point, it's like, oh, if you're Jewish, let's get rid of all the Jewish people. I think this is from Schindler's List, the movie, that scene. But also even here in America during World War II, we were like, let's get rid of all the Japanese. We didn't kill them or put them into ovens, but we rounded them all up, took away their property. A lot of cases didn't give them back, and stuck them into concentration camps if you're Japanese. And one of them was right here in Fresno at Blackstone and Herndon. Or pictures that end up on social media, right? You're going to get a job. All right, what are people going to think about it if they see, those pictures of you? So you just have to remember, how do you use technology? Are you using it or is it using you? And just bring some conscious awareness to maybe the most important thing. And we'll see a video about this called It Can Wait, I think is the name of it. So if you're kind of like curious, It Can Wait, texting and driving commercial. 10-minute video, which is pretty great. Not tonight, but at some point. Just about like take your time. Don't text and drive. You want to watch it tonight? Yeah. Maybe we'll watch it tonight. Let me think about it for a second. I don't know what all this crazy stuff is here. Close ad. It's distracting me. So that's the main thing to think about this first night. Tech as a tool. We have this history as humans with tools, our artists, our stories, our literature, our film, mythology, right? We often reflect upon how are we using tools? Are we using them for good or for bad, for the benefit of collective society or to our detriment? A lot of times tools could be used for one or the other. And tech is the same way. And we're also at a turning point in the history of humanity. Information revolution. Which is pretty amazing. Anybody have anything they want to add to that? Any comments or reflections? No, cool. All right. Well, let's watch this text and driving commercial 10-minute thing. Let me see. It's AT&T. The unseen, it can wait. Wait for it. Close to home, it can wait. It can wait. AT&T, it can wait. This is the 10-minute one. I haven't seen this one. All right, so we'll watch one of those.